I don't think it's a huge stretch to say that Singapore is kind of really transphobic. Most Singaporeans seem to think that trans people are only full-grown adults who had their genitals surgically altered. I think it's because the only time trans people are ever really visible is when they're adults. In reality, being trans starts when the person is a baby. Nobody can actually stop biology from producing a trans person. When a kid exhibits symptoms of gender dysphoria, the best thing you can do for them is to take them to the CGC at IMH. If they're 8 to 11 years old, they'll get maybe a name changed, their pronouns changed, and their clothes changed. There's no medical intervention at this stage, not even puberty blockers like in the West. If they're 12 to 15, they'll have all those changes, name, pronouns, and clothes changed. But their psychiatrist might introduce them to the idea of HRT, where a trans person gets a dose of estrogen or testosterone regularly to make them more like a woman or more like a man. Since the kid is gonna start, or is already going through puberty, it could be beneficial to them to avoid the puberty that makes them want to die, and instead go through with the one that matches with their expressed gender identity. At 16 to 20, psychiatrists are more willing to recommend HRT to patients. This is because they are older and able to make more sound decisions about their own bodies. Keep in mind that under 21s still need parental consent, so if you are trans, it would be smart for you to educate your parents on the effects of HRT. At 21 and above, parental consent is not required for HRT, but you would probably still need your psychiatrist's referral. After a while of being on HRT, it might be possible that you require sex reassignment surgery. This is top surgery and this is bottom surgery. We have to wear uniforms for like 10 to 12 years of our lives. Which uniform you get is determined by your IC sex. You know, the little letter on your IC. This is fine for cis people who make up the majority because you're not trans. And for me, wearing a skirt is the most painful shit I have ever done. I mean, who else needs to hype themselves up every morning to put on their uniform to go to school? It's kind of pathetic, isn't it? As a side note, it gets me really mad when schools tell us that the uniform we get is enforced based on our IC sex and that it's legal to change the letter on our IC. It is. But only if you've undergone HRT and every sex reassignment surgery. You expect a 16-year-old or even a 19-year-old to have undergone SRS? I don't think anybody should have to suffer for a decade before being able to go through with readily available treatment. Oh, and they'll expel you if you don't look like your IC sex as well. You can't even go through with HRT even if you get approved. If Emily cared about improving the mental health of trans students, they could have schools allow students with a gender dysphoria diagnosis to wear the other uniform and enforce the rules with respect to the student's identified gender. This means scolding trans girls for not tying up their long hair instead of telling them to cut it, or scolding a trans guy for leaving his hair longer than is allowed for boys. I will admit, I should have been scolded many times for leaving my hair way too long. I hate bathrooms so much. Western countries make such a big deal about needing to go piss and going to the correct bathroom. Aside from urinals, which I don't even know any guy friends who use urinals, male and female bathrooms are exactly the same. Or at least I think they should be. Currently, trans students are asked to use the unisex wheelchair access bathrooms, which aren't as common as gendered bathrooms. In my experience at St. Andrews, which is the JC I graduated from, the wheelchair access bathrooms are only in this block and certain floors of other blocks. I don't know about you, but I don't want to have to walk 5 minutes every time I need to use the bathroom. To address this issue, schools could probably, just allow students with a gender dysphoria diagnosis to use the correct bathroom. Or you could go with a more expensive route to build more wheelchair access bathrooms. I'm supposed to have something to say at the end, but I really don't. I might film another podcast episode with my friends, but that's only if our schedules line up. So, yeah. See ya.